Welcome to the Ice Guys, presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. Friday, May 27th, Ian Cameron. We'll have Andrew McGinnis momentarily as well. Jimmy Murphy might be stopping in. We'll see about that. But we do have DJ Mitchell, special guest with us today. As of course, he's been on multiple times. Our Betcast, he was on with us earlier this week, and he's been on a few Fridays. DJ, welcome back to the show. How are things with you? Muted.
Things are better now. Things are good. Last night was a good win. Round one was really, really good. Round two, I think I've been talking myself into playing as many bets as I was in round one and not focusing in on the good ones. So I'm trying to condense down a little bit more. And last night was a really, really good success because I just went with like all of the guys in the late game getting a bunch of points. And well, the goaltenders helped me out quite a bit there. So I feel good. And I feel really, hopefully, very good about this game tonight because hopefully the Avs can close it out for us. But they don't like doing that in the round two.
No, that is for sure. So when I look at it here with the Blues and the Avs, we'll get to that in a second. And I certainly had my fill of ranting and raving and railing on the Avalanche yesterday. If you watched yesterday's show, the how and the why questions of why they can't close these playoff games. And why you are dominant for two periods, and in the third period you play scared shitless, like I said yesterday, completely like you're timid. And because you look at the Colorado team in the first two periods, and you look at the Colorado team in the third period, you think they're two damn different hockey teams, really. Yeah. And it's, to me, a mental thing. And we're going to find out a lot about this team's mental toughness, mental fragility, whatever you want to call it, starting tonight. So we'll get to game 6 later tonight in just a second. But first, let's look back on last night. We had two games in the Stanley Cup playoffs. The Carolina Hurricanes, pretty much the most boring and predictable result you can ever imagine, that they were going to hold serve at home. A homer series, a homer playoffs for the Carolina Hurricanes, where the home team has won every game in Carolina's playoff games in the first two rounds. That pattern continued last night as the Hurricanes get the victory over the New York Rangers to now take a 3-2 series lead, with the scene shifting to Madison Square Garden for Saturday, which will be the only game now that we know on Saturday in the playoffs. And look, last night it was great to see guys that haven't exactly played great series for the Hurricanes step up. Talking about Vincent Trocheck, a lot of people calling for, we need more from this guy. And certainly that's been said many games now about Andrei Svechnikov for the Carolina Hurricanes. I mean, we were even bantering about this Tuesday night during the Betcast. What's wrong with him? Where's he disappeared to? Can't find him with a telescope, but he scores the big breakaway goal to really put that game pretty much out of reach, make it 3-1 at the time for the Hurricanes. And, of course, they would win by that final score. And really, there's not much to say. Carolina looks just so much better at home. Having the last line change, I think, helps them. I think Brindamore's more at ease with the way he can deploy his lineup on home ice. And they just look like they play a whole lot better at home. On the road, they haven't been that way. They give up more chances. Their defense isn't even as good on the road either. I mean, they just basically suffocate the Rangers for 3 periods last night. Yet in Game 3 and Game 4 at Madison Square Garden, the Rangers are making hay offensively, in the zone, getting chances, getting quality looks. They barely had any of those quality looks last night against the Carolina Hurricanes. And it's just amazing to me, just the stark contrast with this Hurricanes team when they play at home in the playoffs versus on the road. And it sure continued last night, which means now the Rangers, they're going to have to hold serve and find a way to win another home game themselves in Game 6 if they're going to push this series back to Raleigh, North Kakalaki for Game 7. DJ, what did you think of last night's game there?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing you started with was Svechnikov, which it really has been a boomer bust every night. You know, I was kind of going through the game logs, just shot attempts. You see a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and then a 9. And then you see, you know, a 2 and a whatever. And then last night, again, he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 shot attempts, a goal, 5 on net. It's like, it's boomer bust with him. And I don't really know if there's a specific reason. I haven't found anything that's showing me like why this night he's getting such a better opportunity. He actually seemingly was up against a tougher competition at 5-on-5 and that line didn't even dominate the Mott Heedle Lafreniere line, which was a new look for the Rangers later in the game. It just seemed like he was the guy. Like, they're going to get him the puck. They know they need to find goals. And that's kind of what I've been banging the drum for. It's like, this guy's been their best rate shooter all playoffs. Why is he not getting more opportunity? Why aren't they why isn't Brindamore's in his ear? You got to shoot. We need you shooting this puck. And we finally saw it. So I'm hoping it's for good things to come because his 2.5 was at like minus 120. And of course, I just put like half a unit on it. Didn't really tout it because, again, you don't know what's going to happen there. I'm really excited to see what we see from the Rangers. I'm expecting an all-out war in the next game with the top. I mean, especially if you watch that game, you saw either Zibanejad or Strome on the ice at all times in the third period, and I think we're going to see that again. The top six is going to get all the run in the world, and I'm kind of the mindset that could be very, very relevant for a showdown TFS is to jam in those Rangers and hope to get a interesting correlation between the top six.
Definitely. It'll be interesting to see how it's deployed. And of course, the Rangers now having to make a few tactical adjustments as well. Really, it's what I like about the Rangers, though, even in the loss, is the one goal they scored was on the power play. They've actually put a little dent into that Carolina penalty kill, which has been the number one penalty kill all season in the National Hockey League. And I'm kind of with Nick Earl in our chat, who's hinting that maybe we finally get an over in that Rangers Hurricanes series tomorrow. I get that sense too. Elimination game, 5.5, even fives, or there is a 5 actually with the total at DraftKings right now for the Hurricanes and the Rangers for Saturday night, 8:00 p.m. Eastern. Of course, it gets the spotlight time slots, the only game tomorrow. So I get the sense too we might finally have that offensive breakthrough, and especially if you look at the pace and the chances for at Madison Square Garden, the expected goals for at Madison Square Garden, the games there. I think you might finally see the under trend get snapped tomorrow night, possibly. It's not easy to bet an over in that series. Don't get me wrong, with 5 straight unders. But, man, if there's ever a spot it's going to get snapped, I think it could be tomorrow night, Game 6.
Yeah, I agree. It should be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. But at the same time, I feel like I'm going to say this because it's, if I'm not on again, the Eastern Conference finals are going to be so boring. And I'm just not looking forward to watching probably what is going to be a Carolina team and a Tampa team trying to outbore each other into making a mistake and trapping the neutral zone. And it's going to be more unders in the East. And if I don't get a chance to say it again, I'll say it now. It's going to, a lot of people might talk themselves into, Tampa, Carolina, that sounds like fun. And it's not going to be. I'm very sorry to tell you.
I think you're right about that. Tampa Bay doesn't mind at all. These 2-1, 3-1, 3-2, just tighten it up and win with a low-scoring defensive battle with an elite goaltender who's playing like lights out right now. It's not like with Andrei Vasilevsky playing the way he is. You need more than 2 or 3 goals right now.
Yeah. I mean, Tampa was allowing shots, but they weren't allowing a ton of high danger chances. And I know Vasilevsky looked great, but I mean, how many miraculous saves did he really make? It's a team that's playing very, very good defensively. They made deals at the deadline to have this kind of defensive team rolled out. And if they get Braden Point back, maybe an uptick, but I don't think that's how they want to play anymore.
Yeah, remember these two teams, Carolina, if it is Carolina and Tampa Bay in the Eastern Conference Final, that's still an if. The Rangers aren't dead yet. But if it is Carolina and Tampa Bay, they did play each other in the playoffs last year. Tampa won in 5 games, and 4 of the 5 stayed under. So there's an example.
Yeah.
You had 2-1, 2-1, 2-0, 3-2 in overtime, and there was one game that was pretty wild and high scoring. It was 6-4, a game in Tampa. That was the anomaly though in that series.
Yeah, and I really think if you're in New York, we don't have these, but if you're a Conn Smythe Trophy bettor and you haven't already put money on McDavid, it might be too late. But it's McDavid or Vasilevsky. I can't even imagine. I mean, obviously those teams have to make the cup, but I mean, who else could it possibly be at this point? Obviously, if Colorado could beat Edmonton, that'd be very, very easy to see. Or, I mean, St. Louis has not of it yet, but boy, I mean, there's no one on Tampa or Carolina. There's only on Carolina above 10 points. That is bananas that we've gone this far, and no one's really taken any sort of a step forward. I see someone saying Hedman. Yeah, I mean, there's guys. There's guys that could maybe do it. But Vasilevsky, if he gets them there, 930 save percentage, I don't know. I think that's really the two that we're down to at this point.
Yeah, it is. So it'll be interesting to see if that's the Eastern Conference Finals, how that one plays out. But yeah, it's looking that way at least right now. But the Rangers aren't dead yet. We'll see how Game 6 plays out there. And the other game last night, congrats to the Edmonton Oilers. I mean, what else can you say? They clearly deserved that series. They outplayed Calgary. Their best players were better than Calgary's best players. I mean, sometimes you can just paralysis by analysis. Sometimes you just got to keep it simple. And that's really what the series boiled down to when you look at it. Who had the better forwards up front? Whose biggest and best players played better in that series? Edmonton's, McDavid, Draisaitl with what, 17 points? Is that real life? I mean, in that series, I mean, absolutely sick. McDavid gets 2 points in pretty much every game, at least 2 points in every game in that series, except last night where he only got held to the 1 point, but it was the overtime game and series winner in overtime to end that series. But McDavid, Draisaitl, Evander Kane, and Zach Hyman, that four was better than Gaudreau, Lindholm, Kachuk, and whoever you want to throw in as the fourth guy for Mangiapane, maybe. That's the difference. They were better. They were better. The Calgary could not contain the speed of the Oilers. They gave up way too much rush chances, way too many transition chances. They just didn't manage the puck well enough. How many times did they put the puck in a bad spot in the neutral zone, Calgary, throughout that series? It ended up being a problem for them. And look, Calgary did a lot of good things last night. They got the first goal. They got the crowd into it. Edmonton pushed back and took the lead. Calgary responded, bang, bang, with 2 goals, 4-3. But then you give up the tying goal to Bouchard, 4-4 right after that, in an insane sequence where I think we set a record, 4 goals in a minute, 11 seconds in that second period. Just absolutely incredible back and forth sequence it was there for a minute or two. 4-4, and sure enough, of course, we think we're going to go to overtime in that. Well, it ended up going overtime, but we think, 4-4. Calgary gets the go-ahead goal. What we thought was the go-ahead goal by Blake Coleman. But now, that's why I was hoping, not just because I like Calgary, although I did also have Edmonton team total on the full game over. And I said yesterday, I'm hedging with Calgary by also taking the Oilers team total over 3.5 and the full game over, because I still wasn't totally sure of Calgary shutting down Edmonton. And that proved to be correct. But it's not just because I wanted Calgary, but I said, please don't allow Edmonton to win this game if that goal is called back, because it's going to go down as one of the most controversial, debated, talked about no goal calls in recent memory in the Stanley Cup playoffs, because you got half the people that think it was a good call, that it should have been no goal, and you got half the people that think, we got to redefine what the hell the kicking motion is, which is where I stand on it going into that situation. Here's the problem. For years, you have defined a kicking motion, a distinct kicking motion. Letter of the law is winding up that skate like a soccer player is ready to strike a soccer ball, winding up the skate backward and then following through forward and contacting the puck. That to me, that to any human being with a brain is a distinct kicking motion, is the real legit distinct kicking motion. And the problem is, throughout the course of the season, we have seen goals allowed, goals ruled a good goal on the ice when players have turned their skate, angled their skate, and the puck has gone off the skate and in the net, and it's been called a goal hundreds and hundreds of times this season, more than I can count. So the problem for me with that call is, look, you allowed 20 goals this year throughout the course of the league. I'm sure probably even more than that, where the player maybe turns the skate a little bit, angles the skate a little bit, it goes in off the side of the skate, and it's called a good goal. Well, if you're going to do it 20 times during the regular season, why are you not doing that last night? That is absolutely my argument with that. Not to mention, I don't think it's a distinct kicking motion at all. Distinct kicking motion is winding up and connecting forward, following through forward. That's a kick. That's a kick to anybody. You teach your kid how to kick a soccer ball. You don't say, oh, we turn and we angle our shoe or our foot to contact the ball. No, we say we wind up backward and we follow through forward and we kick the goddamn ball. All right, that's what happens. There is no way, in my opinion, that's a distinct kicking motion last night. And look, if you're Calgary, I understand being upset. It's disappointing. It should have been, in my opinion, a goal in that situation. But at the same time, I can't listen to the Calgary fan this morning say we lost the series because of that. So, yeah, I thought it was a horrible call. I thought it absolutely should have been a goal, but I can't listen to the Flames fans saying we lost the series on that. No, you lost it in game 2, 3, and 4 when you couldn't contain anybody on that Edmonton team defensively. And you lost that series when Edmonton repeatedly made Noah Hannafin looked like an utter fool. And Noah Hannafin's a good defenseman. How bad did he look at times in this series? And he's a good player, and I still believe he's a good player, which tells you how that high level of skill and talent in that Edmonton lineup played in that series. They just toyed with Edmonton's defense. the whole series. But I can't listen to the Calgary fans say we lost the series based on that. You still have overtime in front of you last night. Go out there and win the hockey game. They didn't do that. And then there's Blake Coleman, obviously upset about the call. I don't blame him being upset about the call. I thought it was a bad call. But why are you screaming and yelling at Wes McCauley? He didn't make the call. He's got to rely on the numbnuts that in Toronto, the video review folks that made that call, the wrong call, in my opinion. Why are you yelling at Wes if you're Blake Coleman? That made no sense to me. But at the end of the day, Calgary or Edmonton was the better team. They deserved to get through. Congrats to them. Jay Woodcroft, by the way, you talk about a coach that's rising up the ranks for me. I mean, he makes the subtle change in the third, puts Hyman on the top line with Draisaitl and McDavid because Yamamoto didn't have it going last night compared to Hyman. Hyman's just got it going every shift. Woodcroft saw it, put him with McDavid and Draisaitl, and look how he rewarded Woodcroft. I mean, he's not scared at all to make a line adjustment right in the middle of the game, just based on the feel. If the game's maybe not going the way he wants it to for his team, he'll just adjust on the fly. Do you know how refreshing that is? And then I got to watch Andrew Burnett in the Florida series with a shit power play for the whole playoffs, one for whatever, not make any adjustment, nothing tactically, nothing changes. Say, oh, it worked in the regular season. I'm just going to wait for it to work here in the playoffs without adjusting. That's coaching. Well done, Jay Woodcroft. Outstanding, and I've been so impressed with him from a coaching standpoint. DJ, I'll let you start with this one, Battle of Alberta.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. I went and brushed my teeth during the review. I was getting ready to go to bed. I'm like, yeah, there's no freaking way that they're calling that back. And they did. I mean, and I'm the same way. I mean, especially being a Sabres fan, I don't really have meaningful hockey games. So maybe I'm just numb to the feelings of the Flames fans because it's like, you got dominated for 5 games. You really had very small stretches of being great. And like you said, what I was going to say exactly is Woodcroft adjusted all series, every game. He made tough decisions and sat his entire fourth line. Like they got dominated for 2 shifts. Just sat them. Done. You're done. We're not using you anymore. Nope. And watching Lucic and
shortened his bench. Yep.
Yeah. And watching these other guys I'm just like watching Calgary roll out Lewis and Edmonton getting a McDavid matchup on him. And I'm just like, you guys are going to get slaughtered. And adjusting the Hanifin Anderson line that eventually they put Shillington and Tanev on McDavid. Too little, too late. Sorry. You couldn't contain him. I felt like Sutter was too stuck in his ways and just didn't quite get it done. He had 7 defensemen. You have a chance to, try to find a way to do anything. Just try to be creative a little bit. Maybe even try to put a Michael Stone out there at 5-on-5 as a forward on McDavid. Try something. I don't know who's the right guy, but he just did nothing. Too little, too late. They lose, and they got screwed. But I mean, they lost that for other reasons. I don't think it's just that play, which, blew my mind when they called that back because I think that Coleman wanted to do what he did. I think he did it correctly, and I definitely think he was like, my skate's hitting this puck and it's going in the net, but it was not a kicking motion. It was a stop and turn and kind of go into the goal and whatever, though. And I don't know. That's the way it went. So I'm sorry. I had a nice bet on the Flames to make the cup and the Flames to win the cup. And I got those really early in the year. I had one before the year even started. So I was pissed about that, but I'm not going to do.
No, Poe Buddy's nerfed. He did. I think there's an element of he did try to direct the puck in, but just turning the skate and angling it has been called a goal all year in so many instances. And last night it was not. That's the issue. And again, it goes back to, hey, we're having some consistency issues right now. We're having some major consistency issues right now in terms of being able to define what's a goal in that scenario when the puck goes in off the skate. To me, you've just got to either change the rule or the letter of the rule or the definition of the rule to say distinct kicking motion, as in you wind up backward and you follow through forward. Like we all know, that is a kick. When I'm kicking someone, that's the way I'm doing it.
But it's the NHL, so you have to wait until there's a massive controversial call that turns the entire trajectory of the season in the playoffs to even consider changing the rule. You could never get out in front of anything. Let's wait until it blows up in our face in the Battle of Alberta, and then we're like, oh man, now we might change it now. And then everyone's pissed and sad and angry and too little, too late. And also, thank you. It is a nice hat. Thank you very much. In the comments,
I like it too. Old school Expos.
I know, right?
Great hat. Yep. We missed that team being there as well. They should still have a team, but that's another story.
Well, it was, man, a crazy call, and they're going to change the rule now, and it's too late. It's is what is the NHL. You got a bunch of old guys that really don't want to do anything that run the league, and they do the bare minimum once it's too late every time, because it's a lot of, and like I could go on for hours and hours. I mean, geez, like they're so behind the times. They're just starting a Wordle thing for the couple. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like Wordle died like 4 months ago. Now you're going to try to promote that. And I don't know if I'm ranting now, but I was dying because the first time they brought it up, the announcers like bashed it. For sure. They were all like bashing it. And then the next time they were like, oh, I love playing couple. And I was dying. I'm like, this NHL, man, it's run by so many people that like just don't get what they cannot be any slower adjusting to the times. It's amazing. It really is the reason this sport hasn't taken off like the NBA. And that was way too much for the fact that should have been a goal, but that's the point.
It should have been a goal. And that played a big part in them losing the game. It cannot be the excuse I hear from the Flame fan that they lost the series because of that. Like I said, that's not the case. You were beaten by the team that was better throughout that series, and that was the Edmonton Oilers who and look, Mike Smith we said this yesterday. Mike Smith's like third or fourth in the playoffs goaltending with goals saved above average. Like this guy is truly doing some special things right now. For the Edmonton Oilers. He's playing great. Throw out the horrendous goal he gave up in game 4, and it was bad, obviously. Rasmus Anderson from inside his own blue line. He lost sight of the puck, just lost it in flight, and it beat him. Other than that, that was a hell of a great series, other than game 1 when he got pulled. He had a bad start in game 1. He got pulled. And then after that, it was a different Mike Smith. I thought he played much better. And look, he had I thought, a very strong game last night, even there as well. The Gaudreau goal, maybe could have had that one, but no, for the most part, he also made a hell of a lot of great high-quality saves, especially when that game was there still to be won for Calgary last night and throughout the series. So credit to Mike Smith, and we'll see if he can they're going to need every ounce and every fiber of Mike Smith's being to be on top of his game, if indeed it's Colorado in the next round. But we've still got a ways to go before we crown Colorado as the next opponent. For the Edmonton Oilers. Jimmy Murphy is with us here now on the show. Jimmy, what's up? Good to see you. Talk about last night's games. What did you think?
Yeah, and I'm back in the sportsbook, guys. Sorry, so I was having some technical difficulties. So I got my phone lined up against my drink here so you can see me. What I thought of last night's game is, look, I was listening to you guys before. I completely agree with you, Ian. It was a bad call on the goal with Calgary and Edmonton, and it should have been a goal. But the bottom line is, they're not in a position to need that to be a goal if they don't blow 2 leads. They're not in a position to need that to save their season if they don't play the way they had in the previous games. And so, I understand the raw emotion of it right now, but I think that Calgary, the Flames players, the Flames organization, and their fans, I think when they take a step back in the next 72 hours or something after they kind of digest this, they'll be thinking a little more objectively, I hope, and just see that. I mean, and that was the issue. The Flames completely got away from their game. I don't know what it was, whether they thought they could kind of play the run and gun with the Oilers, or I have no idea what happened to them. They just didn't seem like the Flames team that we saw dominate the better half of the second half of the season. So that's why they're out right now. And look, Connor McDavid, what can we say about him right now? But you were just talking about Mike Smith, man. I mean, I get it, but at what point do we start giving Mike Smith some props, right? Like, this guy has come up big. He's had some clutch performances, and this isn't the first time. He's done this in the past. He's a roller coaster. But, I mean, I think back to a Edmonton Oilers goalie during the dynasty years, and that's Grant Fuhr. Grant Fuhr was no stable presence between the net. Who are we kidding, right? I mean, I know he kind of gets categorized in some of the greatest goalies ever, but that's kind of because of the team he played on. I mean, if you put Grant Fuhr on the Winnipeg Jets then, or on another team, he's not getting the recognition he does. He was a roller coaster, and that's kind of what Mike Smith is. And luckily for him, like Fuhr did, he's got a wagon in front of him. So we'll see how long that wagon can carry them. And then as far as Carolina and the Rangers go, man, it's like deja vu. It's like watching the Bruins Hurricane series again. It's the exact same thing. It's just two different teams when Carolina's at PNC Arena or they're on the road. And that's why, I mean, looking ahead, I'm going to tell you right now, I mean, I'm all over the Rangers puck line tomorrow. Look at the value you can get on that. How the Rangers getting that value? How are they not bigger favorites considering how bad Carolina has played on the road. So that's what I'm liking tomorrow, and I think it's going to continue, and we're going back for a Game 7.
Hard to argue with that. I mean, we've seen Carolina look completely different on the road.
Jump on that now, too, guys. On the Jimmy Puck line on New York tomorrow. I mean, you are getting a gift there.
All right, there you go. Not just loving the Rangers, and just forego the money line, just go puck line for the New York Rangers here. And by the way, the Rangers, I believe they did win both games at home in this series by 2 goals or more by margin. So there you go.
As did the Bruins in every game they won at home.
Yep. So there you go. Maybe just go -1.5. Why not? Or at least split it up.
I'm looking at plus 235, guys, which I think is insane. That's going to go down. So
it is. And Alex suggested Blues plus 550, plus 545 to come back and win the series against the Avalanche, because he didn't necessarily, if you had that kind of lack of trust with Colorado.
Yeah, we know Alex isn't feeling too hot today, so we'll give him a grain of salt there on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Alex a little under the weather with his stomach, but he'll be back. I think tomorrow he might be back. Andrew, by the way, will be back tomorrow. Andrew won't be able to make it today. He's busy, but he'll be back tomorrow. He's not on Saturdays very often, but he's going to join us tomorrow on the Saturday show, which is going to be at noon Eastern time, with just the one game tomorrow, which is Carolina and the New York Rangers. So looking forward to that. All right, and you know what we're looking forward to? We're looking forward to this. Game 6 tonight, Western Conference second round, Colorado Avalanche, St. Louis Blues, Colorado -165, road favorites, 6.5 the total in this game. I said it yesterday. We have to ask some tough how and why questions when it comes to the Colorado Avalanche. Why is it you play so good for the first 2 periods, and why is it in the third period you look like a completely different team? Scared, timid, terrified to make a play with the puck, dominated basically in your own zone the whole period, just trying to hang on and nurse that game home to victory. Why don't you stay on the aggressive? Why don't you stay playing the way you were in the first 2 periods and attacking in waves like they had been doing so successfully, I might add, by the way, because going into the third period, we're looking at 7-1 Colorado, if not for Ville Husso in Game 5. I thought he was phenomenal in the first 2 periods, did everything he could to keep St. Louis at least hanging around, and thankfully, because of him, they were hanging around, and they were the perfect. And Colorado fell prey to it because, again, they tensed up. I don't care what anyone says. And look, St. Louis played well. They have got hearts of lions. They've won Stanley Cups. They know what it takes. They can dig down deep. They've got that grit. We know that, and they deserve a hell of a lot of credit for the comeback. But there's no mistake about it to me that they tensed up in the third period, Colorado, because it looked like nothing like the Avalanche team we saw in the first 2 periods. And that's why I brought it up and posed the question yesterday. Is there a friggin' mental block still hanging over this team? Very possibly. This is the round where they've constantly fallen short. And now it's going to be, really put to the test here in Game 6, and God forbid if they lose tonight, definitely put to the test in Game 7, where even though it's in Denver on their home ice, all the pressure would be on Colorado in a building where St. Louis has already won 2 of the 3 games.
I'd rather play that on the road, guys. If I was Colorado, if it goes to Game 7, I would have wished I'd be on the road, because I've seen so many Game 7s in my time covering, and the home team doesn't matter anymore. And like you said, it's almost a detriment with the pressure that's on you when you're their home team, especially after blowing that lead.
Yeah, and don't believe they're feeling some pressure and tension and not playing their best with when things start to get a little tense. Watch that sequence when they're up. Even after McKinnon, you think, wow, McKinnon to the rescue with that unbelievable end-to-end goal to make it 4-3. This is going to be that fairy tale goal to finally put Colorado to the conference finals, get them to that next level. But then with the net empty and the extra attacker, it was panic plays with the puck all over the ice. I can't describe how many times I saw Colorado throw the puck to the middle of the ice when St. Louis had the extra attack. They nearly scored on that just seconds before they actually did, because someone just blind passed through the middle of the ice. And that's not playing with boys. That's playing scared, terrified. And that bothers me.
That's a forecheck. That's the forecheck right there.
That is, absolutely. St. Louis ties it right after that. And then the rest is history. They win in overtime. So this is mental, every bit as physical right now for the Colorado Avalanche. I don't know. I'm staying off the side. If DJ or Jimmy have a better opinion for me from a side perspective on this game, I give them credit. I don't want anything to do with it, because I know if I take and I think the value is actually St. Louis at plus 145, plus 150, given the momentum they've got now and the questions I've got with Colorado's ability to close. But I also have the sense that Colorado, maybe, after what happened game 5, maybe there's a part of them that says, hey, we sat back too much. I think it was more pressure and tension and nerves of actually getting it done that bothered them. But to me, maybe they come out strong. And that's my worry with St. Louis here, that if they get behind, I mean, that could be trouble, but they erased a deficit last time. On the flip side, though, I'm not laying $1.65, $1.70 with this Colorado team. No way. Not with what's the expectations, not with the amount of pressures on their shoulders. And they got to show me that they're going to be able to respond to it here tonight in game 6. So I've got absolutely zilch on the side, other than maybe I'd look at another overtime game. Maybe it's got that feel to it. So maybe I'd sprinkle on the draw at a solid price in this game. Other than that, there's nothing for me that I'm betting from a side perspective, but I am on the over again. Of course, a 6.5. You look at this series, every game's gone over the total since Ville Husso's been the starter. He has struggled. He's given up an average of 5 goals per game, 15 goals allowed by Ville Husso in the 3 games that he's been the starting goaltender. But on the flip side, Darcy Kemper, he's not absolved of blame either. I'd like a save on the Bozak goal. I know there was a little screen on that overtime goal, but it was far out. There's a chance still to see the puck, gauge its trajectory a little bit when it got to you, and it went through him. So I'd like to stop there, and I thought Kemper wasn't his best in game 5, and he's given up, I think, 8 goals in the last 2 games coming into this one. So to me, I like over. If Colorado takes the lead early, which they've got the capability to do, that's just going to open the game up even more, since St. Louis has no tomorrow for them. They have to win this game. So it's trending over the total. 3 straight games in this series have gone over. Every game since Husso's been the starter has gone over the total. So, and I'm sticking with it. Over 6.5 here, -120. Jimmy, we'll start with you here. Colorado, St. Louis, game 6.
I'm with you. I'm staying away from that side right now. What I'm going to do as far as the score goes, the scoring, I like the under in the first period. I like the Blues in the first period. I see a 1-0 lead for the Blues going in the first intermission. And then I'm just all props. I've got Kadri for a point, O'Reilly for a point, Taves for a point, Falk for a point, and I've got Makar to score a goal. And those are my plays.
There we go. So a bunch of points props and Cale Makar to score a goal, who is actually kind of a goal. I love Makar. Great play. We know it's going to be an unbelievable career that this guy is going to have. But even he has got to take some of the responsibility. He didn't box out on Robert Thomas there on the tying goal. He let him get that puck and put it in past Darcy Kemper to tie it up. So that falls on Cale Makar a little bit. So yeah, this is a must-see TV appointment type of thing tonight.
Yeah, jump in during the game.
Yeah, and no doubt it's going to be, because everybody's going to be fascinated to see what this Colorado team, their mental makeup is all about. We're going to find out a lot tonight as they try to bounce back from the horror of losing a game where you're up 3-0 at home, where Nathan MacKinnon's dominating all over the ice with a hat trick and 4 points, and you don't win that game. You've got to somehow pick yourself up off the mat tonight and get ready, if you're Colorado, to try once again to close out this series. We're going to find out something about this team.
Yeah, I think you said it, Ian, best. It's a mental block. It really is. Like they need to find a way to start to be killers out there, have that killer instinct, and close things out. And we've seen it so many times. They're basically the Colorado Avalanche are the Toronto Maple Leafs of the second round, right? I mean, they can't get by the second round. And just like the Leafs crumble and just can't handle the pressure, that's the Avalanche in the second round.
But at least the Avs fans will take that over the Leafs fans, because at least they get to a second round. They win a round. They win a series or 2, which they've been able to do.
It's less torture that way.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to get to the playoffs every single year and then not even win a round. I mean, that's even worse for the Leaf fan. It's as tough as it's been for Colorado these few years. It's been much worse for the Leafs. I mean, seeing what they've gone through all these years. All right, DJ, we know you got the Avs jersey. You're rocking it. So tell us what you like if we need to really ask that.
Well, I mean, I do like the Avalanche. I think what you said was true off the beginning, though, is that the money line isn't great. The puck line isn't great. I don't think that they're incredibly strong EV positive bets. I honestly, I hate to go right against you, Jimmy Murphy, but I think the Avalanche to win the first period plus 145, they really have done, and they've only done it once. They've only won the first period one time. It was last game, and I bet it because it finally got to plus 130, plus 120. I'm like, they're dominating the first period. You look at the shot tides, you look at all this stuff. They hit the post 3 times in game 1 in the first period. They got a little unlucky with some penalties in game 2 and 3. And I mean, this team is a very fast starting team normally. I'm in on it. I think the biggest question mark I have is you go from, game 3 in St. Louis to game 4. And the biggest change was in game 3 in St. Louis, the Kadri, Rantanen, Nichushkin line accounted for 3 goals at 5-on-5. Absolutely dominated. They could not put anyone up against them. They changed it all game long. No one. And then you go to game 5, and that line was on the ice for 3 goals against. I want to sit here and bet, like you were saying, I think the Kadri, Rantanen, Nichushkin all to get a point feels really, really good, or Rantanen to get 2. It's hard for me to want to get all the way in on. I also want to know where Burakovsky slots in, because it does sound like he's back. Bednar basically confirmed it. He may have already actually confirmed it. So, but I think Landeskog for a point, -180, doesn't quite seem accurate. Kadri, -165. I could consider Nichushkin, which is actually what they ran. Oh, yeah, Nichushkin with that line, but not the power play time. We'll see what happens, but I can guarantee one thing is that Nichushkin, Rantanen, Landeskog, McKinnon, and Lehkonen will all see 18, 19 minutes of ice time if they're losing even more. So I think you could go through any of those guys for a point and feel really confident in it. On the other side, I mean, there's a lot of ways to go. Robert Thomas is a guy that finally showed up, dominated, and that's the guy they put out against Kadri. Is he going to do it again? So I do think you need to pick your poison, because first off, I can guarantee one thing. O'Reilly will be on the ice every single time McKinnon's on the ice. That's going to happen. Mm-hmm. So do you want to go another way? And if you're going the other way, remember what happened last time we were in St. Louis. That other line got dominated by the Kadri line. So this game is a little confusing for me, because I really just want to hammer what happened last time. I don't want to be as reactive as I want to be predictive. So I think that Landeskog is the easiest bet to take for a point. I think the first period, Colorado to win +145 is one I'm really strong on, because I don't think that, again, I know I talked about with Ian on the live betting show, I don't want to bet on what's already happened. I don't want to say, well, St. Louis has won most of the first periods, so now they're going to – I don't think that's been what should have happened. What should have happened is Colorado wins more of these, so I'm willing to bet on that tonight. I think this team hopefully has the right mental mindset going into this game. I know that's the concern, but this is a veteran group. They have a lot of veterans on the point. They've had a lot of guys that have been here before.
They are veterans now. They're not a young team anymore, Colorado. That's for sure. Yeah.
If you're someone that roots for the old guys to win the cup, it really could be Colorado with 2 or 3 guys that have, maybe, I mean, if you want to throw McKinnon in, you might be a little early. But a couple of guys on the point that have never won a cup that's been a long time. I don't think Kemper has either, but I could be wrong. Maybe a backup. Overall, I guess the final say is, I'm more interested in going after this Kadri line and thinking they dominate, and definitely in DFS. If you're playing a showdown, I think going through them and getting that full line with a defenseman, maybe even Bowen Byram, who's really come on strong as of late as an offensive presence, getting more offensive draws, shooting more than he has been. I think that's a better way of attacking this slate than
4 points in the last 2 games for Bo Byram too. Shooting the puck a lot.
They have decided he is our guy when we're starting in this offensive zone that we know can move the puck and get the puck towards the net accurately. So I'm not sure if I want to put a goal bet on him, but if you're crazy, you can. I really do think. This game, I think that I'm probably not going to bet the puck line or the money line, other than I did it for my little bracket that I'm hopefully going to win. But I think that you can find a lot of value in the props.
You said something there about the cup experience on Colorado. There is none. And that might be the problem, right? I mean, they're going to have to create their own. And we see, I mean, how many teams that win cups have players, at least 2 or 3, right, that have won a cup before with someone else or with that team. And that's huge. I think that's a big factor right there, guys. And I think that's, like Ian referenced earlier, that's what's factoring into this potential comeback for the Blues, is they've been there before and they know what it takes to get over that hump. So this is a huge character test for the Colorado Avalanche, man. And that's the only reason I understand everything you're saying with the first period, but I'm riding momentum right now. I'm riding mindset and mentality right now. And right now, Colorado's mentality is, oh shit. And St. Louis's is, what do we have to lose? We're not supposed to be here. So that's the way I look at that. And if the Colorado can come out of the first period with a lead, that's frosting on the cake. My thing is, if I'm Colorado, if I'm Jared Bednar, I'm saying, they're going to throw everything but the kitchen sink at us in this first period. Get out of here, tied 0-0. We're good, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, definitely. It's very interesting point too. What DJ's making, the Colorado's second line might be the better prop line tonight for them.
Yeah,
and the St. Louis second line.
That's what I was thinking too. I mean, that's a huge point.
Yeah, and the St. Louis second line may be better for them because you look at O'Reilly. Perron didn't have a point last game. O'Reilly's now gone back-to-back games without a point, and DJ mentioned it. O'Reilly's going to be worrying about McKinnon all night, defending him. It's kind of like the basketball analogy. Well, if the starting point guard's got to, focus on his defensive responsibilities, what does that leave in the tank for him offensively? You know, when you're really trying to focus in defensively on shutting down the best player on the other team. Kind of like here, O'Reilly's really going to be focused on McKinnon, especially coming off a game where McKinnon's got a hat trick and 4 points. That's definitely going to be an area of emphasis for St. Louis, and O'Reilly's going to be one of the key components. So maybe that's more of a defensive type of role. Not that he won't score still, but he's going to be focused so much on trying to shut down McKinnon. Maybe you look at all of a sudden a Vlad Tarasenko, who's a streaky motherfucker, streaky as it gets, and finally got off the schneid. The other night, maybe.
Yeah, I was looking at that line.
Yep. Maybe him on that second line. Robert Thomas, as DJ mentioned, who's a good player and just, a little cold, little snake bit for a bit. He, busted out of it as well recently. So that, again, this could be one of those games where, Joe Blow is going to end up, loading up on McKinnon and the top line for the Avs or the top line for St. Louis because they see Perron's having an unbelievable playoffs. O'Reilly had a recent 12-game point streak. Although, again, 2 games in a row without one, but we'll still come back to the well with those 2 guys instead of looking at maybe the Blues second line to be that offensive, machine for them, or the Avs second line, Gaudry and Nichushkin, and them to be a catalyst offensively. And like you said, DJ, as well, with the Avalanche. And by the way, it's Rantanen on that second line, the third guy. Burakovsky might be back in the lineup after being a healthy scratch. Where does he fit into this jigsaw puzzle that Jared Bednar deploys as his lineup tonight? So that's something to consider. And oftentimes when a guy gets scratched and he's back in the lineup, he's playing like he's shot out of a cannon and ready to make an impact. And we know Burakovsky's got offensive ability to finish and score a goal any night, even though he's inconsistent, even though he drives you up the wall, even though he's lazy at times, even though he's streaky a lot of the time. So you got to expect an utmost effort from Burakovsky after riding the pine for a couple of games, like you often get from most players. So that's an interesting factor as well tonight.
Yeah, and who actually? Let me just double check. Yeah, who led St. Louis in shot attempts, and I got to assume shot on goals. Robert Thomas last game, 1.5 minus 125. I mean, I think that's enough to consider that for 2. I know he can completely evaporate. And if he does, he's back with Tarasenko and Buchnevich, both of them with a softer matchup. Buchnevich plus 135 over 2.5. I mean, he is a historic great shooter. Thomas is not really until this year. So I think you get some value on these guys to have some shots because a desperate team, the hungry dog runs faster. They might be shooting. How do you beat Kemper? Seems like you just have to get the puck on him because he has not been super sharp. I think that's going to be their mentality. So I do think there's value in these St. Louis shot props, and there's very little to none in Colorado shot props because the books are scared. They know that this team could put up 50 shots pretty easily. So, I think I'm looking at both second lines. I think there's going to be a lot more fun, if you will, and a lot more offensive upside from, the Kadri matchup with the Thomas matchup. So I think that's kind of where I'm going. And I guess I'm hoping Colorado closes it out. I don't know. I
am too, buddy.
Yeah.
I can't stand St. Louis.
I would love nothing more than watching McKinnon. Because if McDavid if he goes against McKinnon and dominates, I think we just have to give up on the league for 5 years because no one's going to be touching Edmonton.
Yeah, you look, guys, and I just don't want to hear that fucking song Gloria again. I just don't want to hear it.
Yeah, here in Boston. Jeez, that was, I was cool one time, except the Sabres too. I mean, everyone was like, O'Reilly, look at all you need to do. And I was like, well, that's not the only thing. I mean, they had a good team. They had Jordan Binnington standing on his head for the entire playoffs, but everyone was wanting to talk about O'Reilly. He was awesome. But no, this game should be a ton of fun. I'm actually not even going to watch it because I'll be at a concert tonight, but I'll be hopefully rewatching it in the morning.
Oh, yeah, Goo Goo Dolls, right?
No, I'm going to see Modest Mouse, which by the way.
Oh, nice.
Oh, you'll float on again.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
Yeah,
There you go.
so I know it's one of those things where we're getting into concert season, and I'm just like, crap, I don't want to miss any hockey. Like, I don't know. It's the best and the worst because you're gonna have a lot
Watch
of
it
fun.
on your
But
phone.
yeah, yeah, just quick break. Yeah, I'll be celebrating during like the encore before the encore. Be like, yeah, you're really excited. I'm like, oh no, McKinnon scored.
Yeah.
No, you'll be keeping an eye on the score. I know you will, like
Oh
any
yeah.
dedicated hockey fan
Oh,
and
yeah.
better and DFS player would. Absolutely. No, I'm looking forward to this. Like I say, these are the games we love to watch. You know, the storyline, St. Louis, that veteran pedigree, that cup experience that Colorado doesn't have. When I said Colorado's experience now, they're not young. I mean age experience, years in the league. But
Yeah.
Jimmy's right. No cup winning experience. No winning those big time, dig down deep moments. There haven't been any for Colorado. It's come up short, come up small in these moments repeatedly. That's what's got to change for them.
If they
And
blow this too, guys, I mean,
Bednar's
DJ,
out.
you're a
Bednar's
big
done.
Avs fan. I
Yeah.
want to ask you. I mean, if they
Yeah.
blow this, I think they got to make a coaching change.
Yeah.
I mean,
it will happen.
if Bednar can't get it done here, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like it's time to really look at things and look in the mirror. Like, what are we doing here? Because this team, to me, could be a dynasty if they can find that killer instinct. Finally, they can really become a dynasty.
Yeah, it is. There will be the Toronto of round 2 if they lose this series. I mean, it's going to be round 1. Toronto can't get past. Round 2, the Avs can't get past, and I think it's both equally as insane because both equally as amazing and have had so many chances. And this is the best chance that Colorado's had. I know I'm probably the biggest tout against St. Louis that has existed all season long because I don't believe in how they score goals. I don't believe in that being sustainable. And it's like when they're finally not scoring a million goals above expected, the goaltending is just absolutely dynamite.
Yeah.
They have to be the highest PDO team by a substantial margin all season long, getting very, very lucky, but it's not luck with them because they've done it for an entire season.
Yeah.
I have bet unders early in the year on this team. I had to give it up because they just score above expected every night. There's a ton of skill. So yeah, I've been betting against them to my detriment quite often. I know I can be wrong on this team because and look at last game. I mean, the expected goals was about 5.5, and it went for what 9? Was it 9 final? Yeah. 9 goals. Game before that, expected goals were like 6, went for 9. That's what you're getting here. You're going to get a boring game until it flashes, and it's going to flash very quickly. And when it does, if you have that underslip, you're going to be in a lot of tears, banging these goalies suck drum because that's the way it goes.
It's got to feel like Calgary Edmonton. Don't forget that was a slow start, 1 goal in the first period, and then the floodgates opened. This could be that again. Maybe the floodgates will open right away, but even if it's 1-0, after the first period or even scoreless, like don't panic if you have the over. It could very easily open up, and the third period an elimination game is always a powder keg offensively waiting to explode and erupt. So definitely some things you want to keep in mind for sure regarding the games. Okay, we got best bets here to wrap things up in just a second. We great stuff with DJ Mitchell and Jimmy Murphy. I think Jimmy's going to try to come back for his best bet. We'll see if he does. But I know he's also had some tech issues. I don't know if it's tech issues or he's coming back. I know. We'll get to best bets in just a second because he does have to get going.
Sorry about that.
No problem at all. Best bets in a sec. First up, DraftKings Sportsbook, official sports betting partner of the NHL. New customers bet just $1 on any NHL team. Get $150 in free bets if they win. If DraftKings Sportsbook isn't available, in your state, you can play for huge cash prizes with DraftKings daily fantasy hockey contests. DraftKings giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings app, sign up for an account, use the promo code THPN. Bet just $1 on any NHL team. Get $150 in free bets if they win. That's promo code THPN at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Must be 21 years of age or older. Must reside in a DraftKings Sportsbook state. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Download the DraftKings app. Sign up for an account. Use the promo code THPN. All right. Before we get to best bets too, guest lists. We got Tyson Brower on Sunday, Matt White on Monday. We've got a tag team. We've got a duo joining us on the show next Tuesday. Eddie Lack and Casey Nelson are joining the show next Tuesday. They're both in Arizona, and they both sell real estate, and they're both friends. And we already had Casey Nelson slated to be on the show, so they decided let's have him on at the same time. So that's what we're going to have on Tuesday. Eddie Lack, Casey Nelson, and Carl Alsner with us next Thursday. So that's the special guest list coming up for the next week here on the Ice Guys. All right, best bets to wrap it up. Jimmy, I know you got to run, so we'll start with you. What do you like for best bet?
Well, I got two best bets for you. One in hockey, and then there's a big match in soccer tomorrow that I'm interested in. Give me Ryan O'Reilly to get a point. That's my best bet for tonight. And then you know what? I'll give you two best bets for tomorrow. Give me the Rangers, like I said, on the puck line for tomorrow, since I won't be on, and hammer Liverpool up the Reds. They're gonna win.
Oh, that's a little UEFA Champions League final right there. Recommendation for Jimmy. Not one biased bone in his body, though, when he says that. With,
Not at all.
Liverpool. Not at all. Not the slightest. So Liverpool in the soccer. Rangers puck line tomorrow. Ryan O'Reilly to get a point tonight. And, of course, Jimmy will be back Monday, as he always is.
I'll see you guys.
For the week. All right, Jimmy. Thanks again. Have a good weekend.
Cheers. Go Avs.
There you go. All right, Jimmy Murphy with us. All right, DJ, what do you like for best bet?
Yeah, I mean, this is tough. There's a couple I really, really like in general. I think for a parlay piece, best bet, if you want to mix it up, like he was saying with other sports, I don't really tout any other sport. I think Landeskog to have a point, top power play. I think he's going to have a premium role. If they're losing in the game, we'll be back up with McKinnon. And if they're winning in the game, it's probably because line 2 dominates, and he already has a point in the first period. I think for best bet, honestly, the more I look at it, Tarasenko over 2.5 is only minus 120. That just seems wrong. I mean, he is shooting a ton right now. He's back. He's rolling again. Top power play. They've also taken out Perenovich, who was shooting a little bit more on the power play than anyone else, or he was shooting a lot, getting it to Perron. So I think with him out, they're moving it to Tarasenko more. So over 2.5. They're not going to be putting him against McKinnon, and they'll find a way to. And honestly, if you think logically, St. Louis controlling the matchups, that means that they don't have to put Tarasenko out there against Kadri. They'll probably put him out there against Burakovsky Lions, and he'll have a really, really good opportunity. I think they get over 2.5. If they're losing, they're going to be shooting.
Yeah, you would think so. No question about that. So Vladimir Tarasenko there with the over 2.5 shots on goal.
I mean,
DJ
really,
Mitchell.
you're kind of build a game script like I am. I kind of was thinking through it. Like Avalanche first period win plus 145. Then you do Kemper saves, a couple shot props on, Tarasenko, Busnevich, shot props on the other side. And you could really kind of talk yourself into a scripture that makes sense. I did the Kadri, Nertushkin, Landeskog point. I think you don't want to get too crazy and bet like 50 things. But if you feel like you have a script in mind, you could play Showdown Slate on DraftKings, which I'm going to be doing one lineup in, or you could kind of just build it out yourself and maybe just capitalize on nailing exactly what the game flow could be. So that's I like that. And then I think I see people saying the over. I do like the over. The math doesn't lead to it, and I really don't like going against my math too often.
So it doesn't fit with the numbers in terms of the over. I would have loved to have seen one of these books post an Alexei Toropchenko points prop, because Berube loves him. They loved what he delivered in Game 5 in Denver, and he's now on the third line. We started on the fourth line. He ended up on the third line at the end of that game. He's going to start tonight on the third line. And you look at what he did. He had 2 shots on goal each of the last 2 games. He got an assist on one of the Blues goals. I mean, you'd get a juicy price on a point prop for him, but you're not going to see it probably. I'd be surprised. I don't think you're going to see Toropchenko points props anywhere, although his goal scorer prop will be out there. But I don't know. I feel better about the assisting part of his game rather than scoring. But if you want to, there are some books out there that have him plus, I believe, 500 to score a goal tonight for the St. Louis Blues. Alexei Toropchenko. Don't get confused with Tarasenko. There's a Tarasenko and a Toropchenko here on this Blues team. But I was impressed with the way he played for the Blues. Great energy, great on the forecheck, all the things that Greg Berube likes in his team. He delivered it in Game 5. All right, my best bet. Colorado St. Louis over 6.5 minus 114. I'm not going to overcomplicate it. The over has been good to me in this series, especially since the first 2 games. 3 straight overs in this series, all of them coming after Binnington got injured and Husso took over in between the pipes. And look, there's been some cracks in the armor, and even in Darcy Kemper the last couple of games. St. Louis has started to find the back of the net a little bit against him as well. So I think we see goals. If not early, we'll see an explosion at some point in the second and the third period, and we'll find our way to get up and over the total. So for me, it'll be Colorado St. Louis over 6.5 minus 114 for my best bet here on this Friday Ice Guys show. All right, that'll wrap it up. Thanks to everyone in the chat for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. We appreciate it. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For DJ Mitchell, our special guest, as well as Jimmy Murphy, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Friday night. Enjoy Game 6 between the Avs and the Blues, and we'll be back tomorrow on Saturday, noon Eastern time, for another edition of the Ice Guys presented by the Hockey Podcast Network.